Welcome to this week's episode of the Free and Fridays podcast. And I have two guests this week, two very interesting guests who've got, compared to my previous guests, a very unique story. So first of all, please welcome Sammy and Evie.
Hi.
Hi girls, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, a bit of context. Evie is my youngest daughter, who has a bit of an interesting story, and Sammy's one of our best mates who has the same sort of story. So, as we always start this podcast with the same question, what's the big change that you two are going through or haven't gone through?
We're finishing high school, ending the HSC, onto real life now.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a big moment.
Yeah.
So, 12 years of institutionalisation in a school, learning what you're told to learn. Now you can wake up and do nothing or anything. How does it feel having finished that part of your lives?
Well, it feels pretty freeing, but also...
Yeah, it's kind of scary. For years we've been not told what to do, but we've had a plan for us. Because we needed it as kids, but I still feel like a kid. I still need the... Yeah, it'll be fun.
Push and that motivation to actually do something. Now we just have so much time, we don't actually we don't know what to do.
We have so much time that just scary. But it's exciting.
Let me pick up on both of those comments there. Sammy, I'm going to come to you first. You said it was freeing. What part of it is freeing? And which part of you feels more free?
Yeah, well, just being able to, choose what we do on a daily basis and, being able to study what we want in the future, to choose a specific, career path. And that's good, not have to, just learn what we're being taught, the syllabus that it isn't really, adapted to, the individual being able to choose what specifically you want to, study.
Thank you. And Evie, you said it's scary. What's the scary part, and which part of you is the most scared?
I think it's scary because there's no plan. No one has a plan. I mean, you can have I'm going to uni for a year, but it's kind of the start of your life. You plan from now to the end. You have school, and that's sort of everything that everyone does. So you go your own way, and it's scary, but in a good way,
Pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chronologically, you're both adults now. You're 18. Does it feel like you're adults when you see other adults?
Nope. No. I think also because of COVID, we haven't really had the 17, 18, year 11 and 12 that most people have. So we haven't gone through the natural stages of...
Do you feel you've missed out?
Yeah.
Big time.
When
going into clubs for the first time, it's just what? Are we supposed to be here?
Yeah, I feel like we've missed it, but it's sort of bonded us together as well, where I feel like we're a pretty close year group.
Yeah.
Compared to
because
most.
of that,
And
right.
everyone's also on the same,
everyone, I feel like everyone's just so willing to, be friends and work together, and because everyone's just wants to do as best as we can.
Yeah. I suspect that in the future, commentators will label these 2 or 3 year groups as the COVID year groups. And we know when you go through trauma and challenge, often you come out the other side stronger. I'd be interested in how you feel, either individually or collectively. You've come out stronger, but also weaker.
Well, I mean, personally, hearing the educational department being they're going to be the most resilient year group. I honestly don't feel resilient at all. Going into HSC, I was just I don't care anymore. My study was just out the window as soon as that second lockdown happened.
Right.
I just lost everything.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like people our age are more motivated to do once we're graduated to do what we want, because we haven't been able to do anything for so long. People are so into going to uni, getting jobs, traveling. Everyone's very let's get stuff done, because we haven't been able to for years.
Yeah, you're kind of going from 0 to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's fun. it's good.
Start living again, I guess.
Yeah.
And as an adult, not necessarily as a teenager, which obviously has some barriers to it, whereas, as an adult, you've still got the societal barriers perhaps, but you can kind of do what you want.
Yeah.
Is that exciting? Let's go, or is oh, I don't know what to choose?
A bit of both, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's exciting with the sort of legal stage where you can,
Yeah.
like, we can vote now. Obviously, we can drink and do all that sort of stuff. Parents can't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
But it's scary that now we are independent. Like,
Yeah.
there's no excuses anymore.
So I'm going to ask the parent question. Because whilst technically at 18 you're in society's view an adult, you don't have to do anything and be told what to do unless it's against the law, for example. But it's interesting, you know, the day before you're 18, you might understand and respect and do what mum and dad says. And the day after, you kind of go, 2 fingers up, no chance. But nothing's really changed other than a day's gone by. What do you think now will happen when you hear adults say you should be doing this, you should be doing... I don't just mean mums and dads, but any adult. Is that going to change for you now that you are chronologically an adult?
I think that decisions now might be more negotiated. I mean, in our family, we're pretty have conversations often, but some families don't. Some children are told you're not allowed to do this, and now that they're adults, they can do what they want. But I feel like it's just more of a respect between kids and parents once you get to the age where you can be an adult.
Yeah.
And just like acknowledging it. Obviously, you have your own like perspective, and you want to do something, you're going to do it. But you know, just taking on other people's like ideas.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to be really judgmental here. And no names. That would be unfair. When you look out into the world and you see other adults, right? Other adults that you observe, what are the traits that you can go, I am never, ever going to do that. I don't want to be like that. And on the other side, what are the traits that you see and go, ooh, I quite like that. I like that idea.
I don't want to get stuck in a every day the same, like living but not really living kind of thing. Just surviving. I don't want to just survive in life. I want to live, get stuff done, do things I want to do, not just work.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd say I don't really want to get caught up in the whole like materialistic aspect of society. That's just like, I don't want to get caught up in that, honestly. But it's kind of inevitable, but try hard to divert from that. And just like drama and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As an emotional, conversational drama.
Yeah, like unfriendliness, like that, like within COVID, a lot of that has happened, you know, within friend groups because of, you know, lockdown, like restrictions has like created lots of drama and I guess unfriendliness, but that's what I try to divert away from because I do not like that in my life.
Yeah.
Sammy, would you explain a bit more? How has lockdown created more drama?
Yeah, so with restrictions on like people, basically I'd say exclusion has occurred a lot. Like obviously it's not something you can control, but it does hurt other people's feelings at the end of the day.
Right.
Even if it's, you know, the laws, like you're gonna get fined. Like
I think also in lockdown you only see the people you really want to see. And so if people don't have some close friends, I don't know, I think it could be very isolating. I think we did pretty well to see
very isolated. Yeah, we
see a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's unless you make the effort or people make the effort with you, lockdown can be there's like you have an excuse to stay home for months. So
yeah, it was also really hard because like we were lucky enough to have, you know, our own vehicles to get around during lockdown and see one other person like outdoors, go for exercise. But some people, you know, didn't have that opportunity. They you physically can't get in a car with someone else during that period. So I think it was hard for some people not being able to physically be in contact with other people. Just, you know, over the screen, like you don't really get any like genuine connection with people.
yeah.
Evie, you said that you were keen to live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And that definition may change as you go through different cycles in life. What does that look like for an 18-year-old female, just finished school, potentially going to uni, living in New South Wales in Australia? What does that look like for you two?
I mean, pretty privileged life we live, so I guess I think just surrounding yourself with positive people, being around people you actually like, not just people that are there. Doing different things. I mean, obviously for us it's going out, partying, beach,
going to the beach,
social, like that kind of
swimming,
stuff, but
everything.
just being present in life in the small times.
Present in life in the small times.
Yeah.
Give me an example of a small time.
patting my dog.
Oh, that's
Right.
nice. Watching the stars.
Yeah, like looking at
Yeah.
the sun.
That's
all the
cool.
little things that you don't really think about.
Yeah. And when I said small, I didn't mean insignificant.
Yeah.
And you've taken it to mean small moments, and in those moments, patting your dog, looking at the stars, those are the most precious moments. Is that for you what living life to the full is as an 18-year-old right
It's
now?
hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just being
Like-
present and appreciative of all the little. It's easy to go throughout a day being like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Today was an alright day. I just went to the beach again. Where it's like,
Just like
You're lucky.
getting new experiences, and just because we're obviously starting our lives, like we want to experience things we haven't experienced before, and just appreciating it and living in the moment. I guess. Not being attached to your phone and being like, oh, who's here? Who should we invite later?
yeah.
Because you two probably won't even remember not having phones. And these days they're not phones, they're everything.
They're literally your entire life. Like if you don't have your phone, what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much do you think do you like that? Is it just because it's the way it is, it's necessary?
I'm definitely passive in it, but I hate it.
I
wish-
hate having a phone. I wish
we
I
grew
could
up.
like I'd say I'm attached to my phone. Like I don't think I
Yeah.
could travel anywhere without my phone. Like I wish I could just
Yeah.
throw it against the wall and it breaks and I just never have to touch it again.
I think it's hard. I think it's in this society to not have a phone. Like you, especially as young girls, if we went
Yeah,
out
no, it's very dangerous
clubbing without
not
a
to have
phone, that's like, it's stupid of us, really.
Right.
Yeah.
But I definitely wish we grew up, well, I personally wish I grew up a little back in the day when
Yeah.
phones weren't as, like, people had them, but they weren't your life. They weren't like,
Or I wish I had like the resistance to not be like, oh, let me just check my phone. Let me see who just like texted me.
Yeah.
That notification you get and that urge to just like grab your phone and see who it is. I wish I didn't have that.
yeah.
I'm really conscious of often the language that we all use is pretty dualistic, meaning it's binary. And the moment you turn 18, older generations, my generation, people might go, you've now turned from a girl or young woman into a woman. I don't know whether that's patronizing or not, but if we can just hold that thought, what is it like for most of your cohort? So not just you two, what do you observe amongst young women of your age as they lean into some pretty challenging aspects of living?
I think there are a lot of norms out there
Yeah.
in society, and it does. I'd say it does restrict us a bit of like how like we feel going into society. if
I
that
feel
makes
like
sense.
as young, I mean, at least I feel like I see a big issue with people finding like individuality. People are scared to like do, like, I think people also don't know who they are yet. I don't think any teenager really
no.
knows who they are, but I think especially as girls, we're all put into this kind of,
This
as same as boys, there's a
Yeah.
lot of stereotypes in all, like, where you live,
Just
like
put into,
race,
like,
gender.
a category.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for people to step outside and be like, what am I actually when I'm not a girl, 18-year-old? Like, who am I?
Yeah, what I'm very sick of hearing, like I was in an interview the other day, is like you have so many opportunities as a woman, like your advantage because you're a woman, and I'm like, what does that have anything to do with this interview? For one, for two, like why? What's
Sammy.
the point? What's the
Yeah.
point of like why not just see someone for like their attributes and what they can give to whatever? Why base them on a gender? Like that's just it
Yeah.
annoys me a little bit.
Yeah.
I find that interesting, Sammy, that you've said that I'm going to guess perhaps because of the bias against women that there's more proactivity towards bias for them, and that's perhaps why it's used. But what I'm hearing you say is, despite that, you can go, that's not who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not defined by that.
Yeah, we're definitely better with like gender equality.
Yeah,
We're not there yet, but it also doesn't need to be like we're
Brought
so
up.
lucky. It's
Yeah.
not like you're so lucky
Yeah.
being a girl now.
Yeah.
And
like-
it doesn't need to be brought up every 5 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
Does it feel like
it's-
that?
Yes, like
Yeah.
you
In
don't-
subtle ways.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
In subtle ways. Not all. Yeah.
It can be implicit or
Yeah.
explicit, but it's like it's hard to really just like get the right words to describe
Yeah.
it. It's like basically by like saying that and like mentioning inequality, stuff like that, you're just bringing like not more awareness to it, because obviously that's a good thing, but it's more like it's sort of a bias in itself
Yeah.
to be like
Yeah, it is. You're right.
yeah.
So I'm really interested in, if you're willing to share, what do you observe about the boys? Because I read a
Yeah.
really scary stat. I don't know what the stat is for girls, but I read a really scary stat that 1 in 7 men, 15 to 49 in Australia, will take their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, that's extraordinary. What are you observing amongst boys of your age with the sort of questions we've asked here about career and adventure and what life got to hold? And any thoughts on that?
I think especially in the Northern Beaches, I mean, everyone's privileged, but there's a lot of sort of boys' club locker room mentality, a lot
Still.
of that every day,
Right.
everywhere.
In front of you, or does it go underground just amongst them?
I think it's a bit of both.
Both. In front of us is probably not as bad as behind our backs.
Oh, man, that's not
yeah.
good,
I mean, I'm sure as a boy you probably said some things you regret as a teenager. We
Yeah.
all say it, but
Yeah.
I think boys, especially our age, walk through life and out of school with like a real sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Like they're entitled
Especially
to.
like in parts of Northern Beaches, there's a
Yeah.
lot more privilege, and that's very like evident.
Yeah,
More than you think girls do?
yeah. I feel like
I think
because
girls are more like.
I think especially there's also a lot of all boys private schools.
Yeah.
And they definitely teach a lot of things that make them leave with an entitled presence, that they're like entitled to things.
Yeah, no, when we were out the other day, these group of boys were like, "Oh, what school do you?" A public school, and then they were like, "Oh," like they gave that face, and I was like, "Okay, well, just because you go to a private school doesn't make you any better than me." Like,
Yeah.
And what's your view on, obviously there's a section and a percentage of society that are on the scale. They're choosing neither end. How do you see that play out with those challenges that both at one end girls face and at the other end boys face? What about those that are in the middle somewhere?
I think they are more discriminated against than women
Than either side.
because they don't fit somewhere, so it's hard. Like, yeah, I think also people are slowly getting educated, but there's a lot of like unknown, and that scares humans. Not knowing is terrifying. So if there's someone you're like applying for a job and they're like, I use they them pronouns, they're like, oh, it's a bit of a hassle. We'll just not. And like it's. Yeah, I think definitely.
I also think back onto the like the issue of like mental health and stuff like that. I know that a lot of girls do like seek more help going to therapy and things like that but I know like personally like guys are more like they suppress everything, I think, and like that sucks. Obviously I don't know because I'm not male, but like what I've seen is that they're very more like they just push it down, and it's like they don't feel like they can talk to anyone about it. That's what I've seen personally, but
I feel like we're still in the society like mentality of like boys shouldn't. As much as we say boys should cry,
you know.
like even people like if you see a boy cry, everyone's like, well, he's like not. We wouldn't explicitly be like he's weak, but everyone's a bit like, oh, like what happened?
Yeah,
like
and
why
that
are you crying?
sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, and I think people still think it's weak to reach out, and it's also overwhelming. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially if you grow up in a household that doesn't talk about mental health or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
As you are now leaving this institution called school, you're not bound by lessons at 8 and home by 4, that sort of thing, and you start to engage with other adults of all ranges and sizes and generations, kind of maybe some people in my generation, what advice would you have for us as you look ahead into that space of, look at all those mums and dads, as you would call us, that you see, oh, you shouldn't have done this, you should have done this. And I know it's judgmental, but I'm just interested from your view as an 18-year-old looking at the expanse of here's what's possible. What do you observe and what advice do you have for some of the oldies like us?
Care for the environment. I think that's a big one. Like we're depleting our world faster than we know it.
Oh yeah.
Like
I also think people need to look at themselves and work on themselves before anything else. As much, even if you have kids, you have people you need to look after. You're only subconsciously passing on negative traits to them, even if you're trying to love them, care for them. You need to sort yourself because a lot of people's issues come from parents or carers or people they've looked up to and grown up with. I mean, children are very malleable, so we all need to look inside.
And yeah, just like very like focus, like not focus on your child, but let them grow and also like care for them. Like obviously every parent like cares for their child, but when that like their own child problems, like their child trauma gets pushed onto the new generation, like it's just a cycle, and it's like if you don't resolve that, it's just gonna get
Never
worse.
ending.
Yeah.
And Evie, your point around we should work on ourselves for the benefit of others. What aspect of some of the older generations do you see need the most work?
I don't know. I feel like people are uncomfortable with seeing their flaws. Me included. Everyone finds it difficult to be told what they're bad at. And I don't know, I feel like just really getting to know yourself, your good and bad, can help others, and taking care of yourself in more ways than just like, I don't know, getting a takeaway. Like that's not really self-care. It's like meditating or reading a book.
Communication comes a lot into that. Like if you can't communicate, especially with your child, nothing's going to get resolved. It's just, communication is key.
And Evie, you said earlier on that even as, young 18-year-olds, I don't know who I am. Do you think anyone does?
Nope. I think there's so much to a human, no one can have a true, like, I mean, you know yourself more than anyone else does, but I feel like there's always more depth you can get to. You can go deeper, you always can. I mean, what is life, Dad? On a floating rock? Like, what? Yeah. There's so many questions for everything.
I'm going to pick up on that, Evie, because obviously hearing us discuss over dinner, you've used that phrase many times, and I've written about it in one of my Weekly Whispers blogs. It gives you perspective about on this spinning floating rock. Can you just explain to the listeners what and how you use it?
I think it just makes me realize in a good way how insignificant I am and my issues, my worries. The world will keep spinning. And, like, we're on a rock that floats in the atmosphere. Like, that is crazy in itself. My maths test, like, what does that have on gravity? Like, it's just, I think it just
the mathematicians would probably say quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just puts everything into perspective and brings me back to where I am.
Yeah. I've got one more question. I'm going to ask you some quick-fire questions. Now that you're out of school, you've finished your HSC, the whole world in front of you, what are you most looking forward to?
I don't know.
Well, experiences in general, but probably meeting people. Because I feel like when you meet someone, they also bring knowledge and experiences and memories, laughter, fun. Like I'm only 18. I've only met people really on the beaches, bit from England, but I've seen nothing. I've met no one. It's exciting.
And just making your own decisions. Like, I think that's very important for me, being raised in a household where everything was decided for me. So I think that's being able to have that freedom, that selection is just, it's exciting and scary because now I have to make all the decisions. Like,
I've read that your generation, I don't know how true it is, but you're the sort of generation that will, go out and of a Saturday protest against some right of something, but be scared to call up and make an appointment with the doctor.
That's definitely me.
100%. I'm terrified to pick up. Even calling the dentist, I'm terrified.
What's that about?
I don't know.
I don't know, because I'd yell at someone on the street if they were rude to me and my friends, but if someone gave me the wrong order, I would take it. I'm not questioning that. I don't want to ruin their day.
That's too funny. Look, Sammy and Evie, thank you so much for those insights. I'm going to finish with 3 or 4 quick fire questions, and I'll just give me your first answer that comes to your head. Are you more sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Sunset. More wine or beer?
Neither.
Cruisers.
Cruisers. All right. Are you more mango or guava cruisers?
Guava.
Mango. I don't even know. I don't drink cruisers.
If you could attempt any profession that you've ever seen, which one would you attempt?
Would I be good at it, or would I have to?
Just attempt it.
Surgery. I want to be a surgeon.
Surgery, right.
Go into space, what's that called?
Astronaut.
An astronaut, yeah. That would be awesome.
Okay. Sum up your life story in one word so far.
Short. I'm only little.
No, not very... that's uneventful.
Okay, Cool. And then final question. What's one of your hopes for yourself for the future?
To be happy.
Success.
Cool. I think those have been great answers. Thank you both very much for a pretty off the cuff and
Yeah.
for
random
having us.
conversation.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
having
It's
us.
been great talking to you both. Thank you very much.